We are jumping right into a pretty major story that just broke a few hours ago. A formal, high-stakes investigation has been launched against a senior Ontario minister, David Piccini.
It's big news, and we're going to get into the details, but this deep dive isn't really about the political back and forth.
Exactly. It's about understanding the core facts.
Yeah.
We want to get to the bottom of this major ethics probe into how, well, potentially billions of dollars in public money were actually handed out. Money that was meant for job training.
Right, and that's the real tension here. We've gone through reports from 680, News Radio, Global News, and CP24 to really distill what the Auditor General's report found that, triggered this whole thing.
And we want to connect those findings to the specific laws the minister is now accused of breaking. So our mission today is to cut through all the noise you're hearing from Queen's Park. We want you to walk away with a crystal clear picture of what the Integrity Commissioner is actually looking into, the facts.
Okay, so let's start with what just happened. The investigation is officially a go. Integrity Commissioner Catherine Motherwell gave it the green light.
And this didn't just happen out of nowhere, right? It was pushed for.
No, absolutely not. It came after formal requests were submitted by two different opposition parties.
That was NDP leader Marit Stiles and Liberal MPP Stephanie Smith.
Correct. And the commissioner's office confirmed that she's going to deal with both of their complaints together as one investigation.
Which sort of signals that they're both pointing at the same fundamental problem. It's not just, one party's political attack.
Exactly. When the commissioner agrees to investigate, it means the complaints have met a certain threshold. She believes there's a legitimate case that the Members' Integrity Act might have been breached.
And the claims here are pretty broad. They're not just alleging one little slip-up.
No, they're alleging Piccini may have contravened 5 different sections of the act.
Okay, 5. Why so many? Let's unpack that a bit.
Well, it really suggests a potential pattern of behavior, not just a one-off mistake. You can basically group them into 2 categories.
Okay.
The first category covers the big pillars of political ethics. We're talking Section 2, which is conflict of interest.
Right.
Section 3, using insider information. Section 4, which is about influence, and Section 6, which deals with accepting gifts.
So those are the basics. Don't use your position to help yourself. Don't take gifts. Don't use secret information. The standard stuff you'd expect.
Precisely. But it's the 5th one, Section 16, that's really interesting here.
How so?
That one deals specifically with the procedures on conflict of interest as it relates to this specific program. So she's not just looking at his general conduct.
So she's looking at whether the whole system for this fund was set up in a way that, invited these problems from the start.
That's it, exactly. And that's what brings us right to the report from the Ontario Auditor General, which is, where all these allegations really come from.
This is where the legal theory meets the hard numbers.
Right. We're moving from the legal framework to the raw financial facts. And the program at the center of this is huge. It's the Skills Development Fund. We're talking about $2.5 billion.
A massive fund. And on paper, the goal is great. Training workers for jobs that are actually in demand. Skilled trades, healthcare, that kind of thing.
It's the kind of program everyone agrees the government should be doing.
But there's a huge but here. The Auditor General's report on how it was actually run was, well, it was pretty damning, wasn't it?
It was. The AG's conclusion was that the selection process for this multi-billion-dollar fund was, and I'm quoting here, not fair, transparent, or accountable.
And that one phrase really lays the groundwork for this whole integrity investigation.
It does. It's the official starting gun.
So where did it go wrong? Where did the transparency and accountability, just fall apart?
It seems to have broken down when the advice from nonpartisan public servants was just pushed aside consistently by political staff.
So the experts would make a recommendation and someone else would overrule it.
Yes. The Auditor General found that Minister Piccini's office was heavily involved in picking who got the money. Far more involved than they should have been.
And there's a number attached to that, a really critical one.
There is. Political staff directly handed out about $750 million in grants.
Wow. $750 million.
And this wasn't just, signing off on paperwork. This involved actively overriding the recommendations from their own nonpartisan staff.
And the key part I remember reading is that they didn't write down why they did it.
That's the kicker. The sources all confirm there was rarely, if ever, any documented justification for these decisions. And if there's no paper trail, there's no way to hold anyone accountable after the fact.
So you've got $750 million being steered by political staff, no checks and balances, and no reasons given. Which leads to the obvious question, why?
Right. Why were these specific projects chosen over others? And that's where the connection between applicants and lobbyists comes in. It's central to these claims of influence and conflict of interest.
This is the part that, politically speaking, looks the worst. The pay-to-play allegation.
And the Auditor General found specific data points. For instance, more than 60 of the applicants who scored poorly in the official review,
The ones who shouldn't have gotten the money.
the ones deemed less effective, yes, they were approved for funding after they went out and hired a lobbyist.
So let me get this straight. You submit a weak application, you get a low score, then you hire a lobbyist, and suddenly your application gets a green light from the minister's office.
That's the pattern the data shows. The optics are just terrible, even if some of the projects ended up doing good work. The process itself seems to have been completely inverted.
Inverted how?
Well, the majority of the applications that actually got approved had low or medium scores. Meanwhile, hundreds of high-scoring applications were just flat out rejected.
So if you were a group with a fantastic proposal, but you didn't hire a lobbyist, you were actually at a disadvantage.
The data certainly suggests that. It looks like a system that rewarded connections over merit. And that factual core is what the Integrity Commissioner is now digging into under those 5 sections of the Act.
Which brings us to the political fight that's been raging over this. What's the mood like at Queen's Park now that the investigation is official?
Oh, the pressure is dialed up to 11. The opposition parties have been calling for Puccini's resignation for months.
And what are they saying now?
NDP leader Marit Stiles was very blunt. She said the government is treating taxpayer money like their personal piggy bank. She's hoping the truth will come out with this investigation.
And the Liberals.
Liberal MPP Stephanie Smith, who filed one of the complaints, called it an important step. She's also arguing that Puccini should step aside while the investigation is happening.
To avoid any suggestion that he could interfere with it.
That's the standard argument, yes.
Yeah.
But Premier Doug Ford and the government have completely rejected those calls. They are standing firmly behind the minister.
Okay, so that's the political attack. What's the defense? How do they possibly justify that $750 million figure?
Their entire defense is built on ignoring the process and focusing only on the outcomes.
The ends justify the means argument.
Basically, yes. They argue that, look, regardless of how messy the administration was, the program itself was a huge success for the people of Ontario.
And they do have some numbers to back that up, don't they? I mean, people did get jobs.
They absolutely did. Puccini's office is pointing to the fact that the fund has helped train nearly 700,000 people.
That's a big number.
It is. And they also say it's helped more than 100,000 people find jobs within just 60 days of finishing their training.
So the government's line is essentially, the process might have been flawed, but look at the results. We created jobs.
That is the core of their counter-narrative. At the same time, of course, they have to cooperate. Puccini's office put out a statement saying they are continuing to assist the Integrity Commissioner.
Well, they don't really have a choice there.
No, they don't. But they're framing it as willing cooperation while also touting the program's successes.
This really gets to a fundamental question of governance, doesn't it? At what point does a successful outcome stop being an excuse for a broken or even corrupt process?
And that is precisely what the commissioner has to figure out now. Which brings us to our last section. What happens next? What can the commissioner actually do?
Right. What powers does she have that the Auditor General, who already found all these facts, didn't?
The biggest one is the power to compel testimony under oath.
Okay, that's significant.
It's huge. She can subpoena people, political staff, bureaucrats, even the lobbyists themselves, and force them to answer questions truthfully about who influenced these decisions and why. It's much more than an audit of the books.
So she can get to the bottom of questions like, who made the call? Why was this low-scoring application pushed to the top of the pile? Was there any benefit, direct or indirect, for anyone in the minister's office?
Exactly. That's what makes her findings so powerful. And the best part for the public is that when she's done, the report won't be secret.
It's made public, right?
100%. A formal report gets filed with the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, and it's also published on the Office of the Integrity Commissioner's website for everyone to see.
And we've seen this before with other big inquiries, like the Greenbelt scandal. The commissioner's report often becomes the definitive public record of what actually happened behind closed doors.
That historical context is why this is so important. This process is designed to give a nonpartisan, factual accounting of the minister's conduct, measured against those 5 specific sections of the law.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground really quickly here. Let's just synthesize this down to the 3 things you absolutely need to remember.
Okay, first, the investigation is broad. It's not just about mismanagement. It's looking at potential breaches of 5 sections of the Members' Integrity Act, covering conflict of interest and influence.
Second, the core allegation is backed by hard numbers from the Auditor General. About $750 million in grants, steered by political staff, often to low-scoring applicants who had, crucially, hired lobbyists. That's the evidence for the pay-to-play claim.
And third, the outcome will be transparent and public. The Commissioner's final report will be published for all to see, giving us a direct look at whether the minister met his ethical obligations.
So while the government's defense is all about the successful outcomes, all those people trained, this investigation is focused squarely on the integrity of the process itself.
Right. And the question becomes, can good results ever justify a bad or ethically broken means of getting there?
Which leads us to our final thought for you to chew on today. When public money is being used for something everyone agrees is a good thing, like job training, how much does the fairness and transparency of the process really matter?
If the program works and people get jobs, does it matter if the system that handed out the money was rigged to favor the well-connected? Is a good outcome more important than a fair process?
That tension, success versus ethics, is really at the heart of this entire scandal, and it's something we'll be watching very closely. That's our deep dive for today.